What's going on, guys? Today we recorded our first episode of the Namra podcast, where we're going to be touching on some things like short versus long form content, the overall idea of what an agency is and how it helps, some of the long-term views of the social media landscape and digital marketing, and then some video production stuff about, some quick tips on how you can be a little bit more comfortable shooting on your own, or what to expect when you do work with a production company or an agency like ourselves. Hey, what's going on, guys? Taylor Cacciola. Welcome to the Namra podcast. I'm here with Russ, Sahil, and Justin. And today is our pilot episode, the first episode of the podcast, where we're going to give you kind of an overview of Namra, the company itself, what we kind of do, and then go over some of the things we're going to be talking about. This podcast is going to be specifically geared towards our specialty, which is social media, digital marketing, marketing in general, and content video production. That's kind of the intro. And I guess... Do you want to do a quick intro of yourselves real quick so we can go around the circle?
I'm Russ Mankson, one of the co-founders of Namra, along with these two guys. Really excited to get this podcast rolling and help you guys kind of understand who we are and what we do.
Sahil Patel, one of the co-founders and CEO, and I look forward to delivering some high-level content with you, bros.
Justin Murray.
Yes, sir. That's me, Justin Murray. I'm a full-time freelance videographer. Been doing it since 2019 full-time. Linked up with these guys last year. We've been having a beautiful partnership ever since. So we come in and we make some amazing content for our clients.
What do you guys have kind of in mind for the podcast? What are some kind of key things that you want to touch on? And like when you talk about bringing value, what do we want to actually talk about? What are some things we're going to cover?
Well, it's when we look at it from a digital marketing end, it's to help people solve problems that they may face on the digital marketing side, whether that's on the content side, maybe it's general questions, how to implement certain things, strategy. So that's as far as the value on the marketing side is concerned, but just overall, kind of talking about our processes, how we do things, what we're all about. If we can keep kind of informing our base on that, that's the goal that I had in mind.
Yeah, I think the goal of any good podcast is just for people to understand who we are. It's long-form content. It's an opportunity for us. We're going to be releasing a lot of short-form videos about our services and things like that, but this is a comfortable place where we can all get together, on a fairly regular basis, as we work and we're busy and we don't see each other every day. So it's a good place for us to regroup and allow our clients to get to know us a little bit more, learn a little bit more about our services, how we can help, and guide you through what is a very confusing digital marketing world in 2022.
Yeah, that's changing all the time too. So I think that's one of the main things I wanted to do was basically take all the stories, because we're out in the world on a day-to-day basis, working with clients, helping them out, and just take some of those stories, take some of those experiences, and provide value to people out there who are probably going to find themselves in those similar situations. Because as you guys know, shit changes all the time. So I think that's the biggest thing.
I think especially with what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
No day is the same. And couldn't agree more.
I think we should explain a little bit about what an agency actually is. So huge buzzword, right? Digital marketing agency, but we specialize in social media management. So what that means, right, is that's the overarching term. But on the day-to-day, some of the stuff that we actually do is the day-to-day post on your social media. We actually handle marketing strategy and work with businesses who don't know exactly what they should be doing, or they might know that they should be doing something, not sure what that is. We can help with the implementation. We can help run paid ads, video content creation, SEO, whatever you might need. That's all the types of stuff that we can do. Is there anything else I missed?
Yeah, I think that was a great summary. It's when I think Namra, I think of us as a full-service in-house digital marketing agency. And really what we provide is anything under that digital marketing umbrella, right? Whether it is the day-to-day posting of social media management to creating the content, whether that be videos, graphics, or different forms, all the way up to SEO, higher-level ad campaigns. We kind of do everything under that umbrella in-house. And that's how I like to put it.
Yeah, we're like a marketing agency in your back pocket. If you can't afford to hire someone full-time or a whole agency, that's what you have us for. We can put together something custom that fits your needs and what you want.
That's it. And I think, the term of agency also, just to elaborate on that, It's all of these different services that we mentioned. It's a collection of specialists doing each of those roles, right? So it's not just, one person and you're working with, a digital marketer on the side or anything. What agency means is you're working with a collection of specialists. So we pretty much do become your in-house marketing team for all of these different roles. So you don't have to go on a search for, now a content provider and a publisher and other roles.
I think another good point to make too is that we are marketing consultants first. Like even throughout our sales process, our job is just to point you in the right direction. And a distinguishing trait of an agency too is that all of our services are a la carte. So not everybody gets every service. And we as consultants can say, okay, here's your situation. Here's what, 3 out of the 10 services that we can provide, we actually recommend based on your budget. And it allows our clients to select a really optimized, like a la carte package out of all the suite of services that we provide. We help you target things in a little bit more.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so the next thing that I wanted to kind of make mention of is our major service that we provide. Our bread and butter is content creation, content marketing. That's what we do. We're a content provider for a lot of clients. And I still get the question all the time, which is surprising. I think people now, when we first started 5-6 years ago, people were saying like, we don't need Facebook. We don't need this stuff. I think now everyone pretty much understands social media is a major, major contributor to your, not only your marketing, but your business in general. So let's talk a little bit about why content creation matters. Why does that even, why do we need that at all? Like what are some of the values there and how that kind of intertwined with social media, on a day to day?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, go ahead. All right. Well, I was going to say like one of the main things in conversations as of late that I've picked up on with clients and goes to show the shift in where people's mindsets are at are people reaching out, asking about SEO now, search engine optimization. For those of you who don't know, a lot of times in the past, they were really dead set on what they wanted. They wanted SEO, they wanted keywords and tagging and blogging on their website, things like that. But now you ask the question, what do you really want when you say you're looking for SEO services? And what they really want is more qualified leads going to their website. And in most cases, we know that if you make more videos and make more graphics and consistently communicate a strong message to your clients, you're going to bring in more qualified leads over time. Maybe not in the first month, but over time, net, hands down, way more if you tell a proper story on social media than you would have otherwise.
Because social media is not going anywhere. This is a long-term game.
And one of the things that Justin and I talked about on the podcast that'll come out after this, but we recorded before this, was that like all else being equal, if you put two clients side by side, again, all else being equal, the strategy is to make more videos. Like if they are paying us for the same services, the strategy is more content. More content beats less content in today's world. So
100%.
That's become kind of like a flat out fact. Like if quality is the same, the message you're putting out is the same, your starting point's the same as a business, all your connections are the same, the person who puts out more content is probably going to win the race to more website action.
And we have Justin to make that content look dope.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm here for, man. Yeah, I think it's a fine line. I mean, I think obviously like when it comes down to it, it's about value, right? And whoever offers the most value. And like we said in the other episode, one of the big ways is to offer the more content. So, it's all about how you use that, but also that's where you guys come in, is that not a lot of the time in the markets with videographers, they're not helping their client figure out how to post it, how to optimize it, what these things you need to do with the video after you have it. Whereas other videographers, they're not doing that. That's where you guys come in. So yeah, I agree. Content is king. And the more that you have is usually, gives you more value in the end of the day.
I think content goes kind of hand in hand with the question of where digital marketing is headed, right? I think we saw in the last 2 years, and a lot of factors influence that, but more content has been absorbed, within the last 2 years than ever before. People are paying more for online content than ever before. People are buying through ads online more than ever before. So where is digital marketing headed in the future? To me, it's only headed up. Yeah. Right. The platforms may change, the mode or the medium of how content is distributed might change. More apps might come along the way, more technologies, whether you're talking about virtual reality, augmented reality. Obviously these days, NFTs and metaverse, all of these are different mediums. But when you look at the grassroots of what makes all of these things work, it is content, right? Whether that's videos or graphics or photos or blog posts, it doesn't matter what form of content it is. But where is the future of digital marketing headed? It's going up. And what is the driving force behind that? It's content.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I think, we've talked about this before, but what I know sets us apart from, just like say a freelance videographer or a company that just does digital media. And me and Justin are are in lockstep on this when we're on our pre-production calls. Like you said, the medium changes, the content can change, the video can change, but the marketing strategy behind that is really the driver of everything. So we can actually pair the creative side of things, the content, the social media, and we have a marketing focus. We are a marketing company, at our core. That's what we know and love. So I think that's what really sets us apart, and what is the biggest thing that most businesses are missing. Maybe they have 10,000 followers on TikTok or on Instagram. I was working with a chiropractor. He had a ton of followers on Instagram, right? He had a girl cracking her back, whatever, that gets 10,000 views, but he's like, it's not moving business. And I was like, well, the marketing's probably not right. The content's good, the followers are good, but if you're missing on the marketing side of things, that's gonna ruin the whole plan,
kind of
right?
Quantity over quantity.
It's kind of like cooking. You need all of the ingredients properly done. You need the mode, you need the message, and you need the creative, right? And if it's not all properly proportioned, it's not going to lead to optimal results. And I think that's kind of our end goal with everyone.
That's such a massive point to bring up, and just in the value we provide, because there's intangible and tangible value there. The intangible is the creative side of the video comes out better because we're able to better understand the client's needs and marketing goals to engineer the content. But then on the tangible side, we're helping you optimize your budget because we understand that what we're doing is footage production, and there's engineering behind that. And if we can go in to an 8-hour day and get all of your video content for 6 months, that's not really something that other videographers do.
Yeah.
What we understand how valuable content creation is, and we kind of guide the clients through, hey, if you're going to have us out anyway, here's what we want to do to maximize the footage that we're getting, make sure you have clips for social media that you can roll out over time too, and everything that goes into that. So
yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk. Do you have another point you want to make?
I was just going to say that's a huge part of the consulting piece too, where we're actually coaching our clients on what's the best way to implement a content strategy. Right? It's on. Oftentimes digital marketing is thought of, let's just go viral. Let's just go viral. I mean, don't just try to go viral. It's just try to do what you do best, because at the end of the day, the core function of business is you don't make money by just making money. You make money by solving other people's problems. And if you don't tackle that with your content strategy, like you said with the with the chiropractor, you can be creating all these different forms of content in hopes of going viral or looking good, or maybe your feed looks good. But if it's not solving people's problems or their pain points as in regards to the services that you offer, then it's not going to lead to dollars coming in.
Yeah. You got to provide the right kind of value,
That's
right?
it.
If you're a doctor posting a bunch of funny memes and you have 10,000 followers for that,
it's
you've provided value, but you haven't provided value that's actually going to help your business. Right. So I think that's kind of an extreme case, but
I love
it's okay to mix in both. It's okay to mix in both, but it's don't
you
lose.
have to mix in both. You can't,
don't lose in picture. Yeah, don't lose the bigger picture of you do need to solve people's problems, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I love it when clients say, I want to go viral, because it's like winning. For people that are listening, going viral really is like winning the lottery. And what I tell every client is the only way you can increase your odds of going viral is by being consistent and putting out consistent content, because one of them might go viral if you make 100 videos. But if you make one, it's like buying one lottery ticket and expecting to win.
It's like the overnight success story. It's usually not overnight. That person usually, if you look at their page, they went viral one time after
on Instagram, and
yeah. So
it can give you a good bump, but it doesn't just change your life.
No, yeah. It's like one hit wonder in music. You know, you can't live off that.
Yeah.
And so the next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of the social media landscape. So I think in 2022 or 2021, 2022, past year, we've seen some of the most extreme changes across social media, digital marketing. Things are crazy through the pandemic. You know, TikTok for the first time, I think they had more impressions, more traffic than like Google. Okay, that's a social media platform. More people are spending money on like Black Friday on their phones than in person or, you know, in stores. I saw today that 51% of people listen to podcasts in the country, and it's like a multi-billion-dollar advertising business now. So for the first time, the largest podcast is bigger than the largest TV show. On average, I think Rogan got 11 million viewers, and like I think it was CBS, their top spot was in like the 5 or 6 range. So things are changing big time. The landscape is
drastically.
You see TV commercials on YouTube now.
Yep, it's like it's no longer okay. This is coming. It's freaking here.
Yeah.
So it's something every business should be thinking about. So tell me a little bit, Sahil, because I'm interested in hearing what you're thinking about that. You know, that change.
Well, going right off that change, it would explain why, you know, a few years back, if you remember, you know, if we were to get some TVs, I mean, they used to be what, 3,500, $4,000 sometimes for like 70-inch TVs. And now just with that landscape change, it's like what, you walk into Best Buy and it's what, $400, $500. It's crazy how things are changing. So yeah, there are TV shows that are actually doing YouTube ads. There are, you know, TV shows that have just been forgotten about because now it's like podcasts are just the preferred way to listen. And
on demand, audiobooks.
Celebrities have now moved to the podcast game, right, where they just do their own podcasts and they don't. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes going on, and I think what's tricky about our industry is it's so hard to predict because it changes every single day on the landscape. But what we are seeing is the dominant players, at least at the moment, you know, that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube side of Google, and Google My Business. Those have positioned themselves to at least remain the dominant players, at least at this moment in time. And, you know, digital marketing, it's a snap of a finger. Something can happen, and you know, it's changed tomorrow.
But make no mistake, Facebook is here to stay for sure on that. On the marketing,
that's what we're
crushing.
seeing. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. I mean, even, you know, I think what we often see is just on the front end of these social media platforms, just where the attention is going. Mm-hmm. Like you see everyone on Facebook, everyone on Instagram, and all these things. But there's also a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Like, you know, compared to the other social media giants, I mean, Facebook and Google have made vast investments globally on how to keep on strengthening their foundation. Yep. Right. It's not just, I mean, yeah, we look at them as social media platforms, but let's not forget these are technology companies.
Through acquisition, they are
creating things every single day. Mm-hmm. Facebook went to the change of Meta, you know, all those technologies that are going to come. So as far as the landscape, I think those players are still here to stay. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's looking like. And they continue to release more products, how to build new frontiers. For example, metaverse, like that's a new frontier of social interaction. Yeah. It's still new. A lot of things are being built. People might not take it as seriously yet, but it is a new frontier. And who is it led by? Meta/Facebook. So it's, I think the dominant players are definitely going to stay.
Yeah. Now, assuming there's no government intervention breaking up the big companies like Google and Facebook, you know, they have acquired and they own so many different companies like Facebook, Instagram, Oculus, WhatsApp, all these different things. Where do you see like a smaller platform like a LinkedIn or a Snapchat? Like those still are very valuable and those still are huge companies. But where do you see those going? Like, do you still see those as a viable option for like small businesses and for just long-term growth?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to just generate as much awareness for let's say a new product as much as possible. You want to be on as many things as you want, right? There's going to be eyes coming on it. But from an effective standpoint, this might just be me, but I've noticed that, LinkedIn in particular, it's just now turning into an in-mail.
Literally,
it's just like a fire hose of just in-mail, just nonsense,
which has ruined it for people who want to do like sale. Like I used to do sales stuff on LinkedIn and in-mail people. You can't. It's tough now to break through that barrier.
Right, and it's so it's. I'm not quite sure where LinkedIn is headed.
Facebook would have to replace LinkedIn somehow. It would have to be like a complete shift where.
Well, I think
you could apply for jobs.
Kind of already has, because LinkedIn used to be that business-only, professional-facing platform, and Facebook kind of did become that already. Yeah, there is the personal side, but you have business pages, you have groups, you can do whatever you want with those.
You can just put out a job application.
Yeah, you can put out. So they've already added that professional segment to it, which is more effective, less annoying, costs less.
Yeah.
Right. So they're beating LinkedIn on everything LinkedIn was built around. Yep. So, And, over the years, we've also seen LinkedIn get just flooded with a lot of personal stuff, too. So that that platform's going through a complete reverse change. So LinkedIn is, it's a 50-50. I mean, depends on what you're trying to do. But I think if you're trying to run ads and target and build a base for the long term, I'd probably focus on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. And I think the one other thing I would say is we're going through, it seems like a consolidation in the digital marketing, social media space, right? Facebook is buying a lot, Google's buying a lot. These big companies are going to acquire. And then eventually, typically what you see in a market like that is disintegration. So there will be smaller players popping up. And I think for businesses to know, there are still, like, if you're talking about what should I do on digital marketing, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, those are all great. Those are the big four. But don't forget, there are a ton of other platforms to go to. There are a ton of niche platforms. Like, I still see so many real estate agents who are looking to grow their business, but don't have like their profile on Zillow and Realtor.com filled out. It's like, put your damn bio in. That will help, right?
Yeah. The general advice is you should be everywhere. Like, budget unlimited, time unlimited. The best recommendation is be everywhere.
Yeah. I was talking to a chiropractor the other day who he moved practices, and he's like, well, I've been posting on Facebook and Instagram trying to get more traffic, but they're still finding me at my old place. And it's like, well, don't look at the big platforms. Look at some of these smaller directories that are just like basically mini yellow pages. Your name's not changed on those micro platforms. So that's going to hurt you. Definitely. So like, use those smaller niche platforms too. Do some research. There are some of those small platforms out there that could be valuable as well if you are, if you have time and you are looking to grow.
Yeah, I sometimes like to say it's bringing the common sense back into digital marketing as complex as it can be, right? Some of these questions can just be answered with almost a quick reflection. It's like, hey, why is this issue happening? Well, like you just said, if you haven't changed your address on the directories, well, of course it's going to cause confusion, right? If your Google My Business listing says, you're open, this hour to this hour of the day, and if you're not, well, if someone shows up within that window, hey, you're going to have a pissed customer.
Google My Business still remains like the most underrated, I would say. Like, we were just talking about that the other day too. Like, you go to a local pizza place and it just says they're completely closed that day on Google, but the guy picks up his phone. He's like, hey, they're open.
And kind of slow today.
It's like, slow day. Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, hey, but so many people are unaware of, like,
common sense.
Every week, probably 3 or 4 sales calls, I just screen share and I go, okay, this is your Google My Business profile. And they're like, oh, you can post on that? Like, that's mine?
Yeah, I thought Google did that. It's like taxes. Yeah. I thought that was done automatically.
Yeah. And it's like, no, like, for those of you who don't know, like, when you say you Google a restaurant, the little profile where it has pictures of the restaurant, the website button, the button to, click for directions, that's your Google My Business profile. And you notice some businesses have nothing when you search for them, and others have that profile set up. If you don't have that for your business, you need that. You could be missing a lot of potential leads. So
I think Google My Business is probably going to be one of the strongest social media platforms in in the future.
Combined with YouTube, it's going to be huge.
I think Google really ate it on the chin with Google Plus, which failed miserably. So I think they really did take time to understand why that failed. And yeah, hey, big companies can fail. Yeah. Google failed with Google Plus, right? So, but I think after they shut down Google Plus, they went back to the drawing board. They figured out, how people are searching, just consumer behavior, investing all of this R&D in revamping their platform. They released Google My Business.
And it seems like how can they bring more value to business owners too, to make it more appealing for them to use.
Right.
They're making a really cool platform.
And, just in case people don't know, now it is, Google isn't just a quick search anymore. You can actually claim or create your business listing. You can post on that business listing. You can run ads through that business listing, right? You can upload content to that business listing. So all those graphics that you're, maybe already uploading to Facebook and Instagram, you could also be releasing those on your Google. So next time someone searches and your listing comes up, that content is displayed, whether it's a recent announcement or whatever it can be.
Yeah, product.
And it's such a simplistic platform to use. So I really do think they're kind of tackling all of those pain points of simplicity.
People should be doing that too.
I think we should do like a full episode on that sometime, because we can go into a lot of stuff. And I think I have some thoughts on that too, where I think Google has a long-term vision for it. And I want to hear about, Google has some new changes coming in the future, this year, hopefully, about some different things. So I think we should definitely talk about that in like a full episode. That could be a good one.
I agree. How many times have we seen clients where like all the business pages that we start managing right when we start, it's like businesses like you are posting or getting 20,000 views on their Google My Business photos, and you're getting 0 because you don't even exist yet.
Yeah.
When you it's crazy the traffic that happens on Google.
And it's so awesome showing that in a few months. Once we upload the content, we optimize it correctly. It's like this spike in their photo views. It's like, hey, well, and it correlates to everything else in their business too. It correlates to the increased dollars. It correlates, and then they start understanding. Okay, ROI. That makes sense. Yeah. It's but yeah, it's and one of the big things I do want to mention on Google, since we're talking about landscape, is they have changed a lot from the past where. In the past, you could just go all out on the SEO side of things, which we will talk about in another episode. But you could just completely goose your SEO presence by just high authority domains, backlinks, just do so much that you could actually hardwire yourself to the top. The recent change. I forget the exact name. In the past, Google always attributes a name to their big updates on their search algorithms. They've had Google Panda in the past. I think they've had Google Oreo, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the name of the recent one, but what it clearly said was, we're going to value genuine, informative, and value add content more. Which is going to impact your rankings. Which is why we push for more content. Yeah. It's not only just for, yes, it's solving those pain points, but also on a strategic positioning discussion. That's what Google cares about. That's what Google My Business cares about. Hey, if you post a spam photo on Google My Business, what happens these days?
Gets taken down.
They don't want spam. They don't want crap. They don't want all these just fake authority domains redirecting back to your page. When it's just filled with shit. Like they are valuing just organic, long-term, value-driven content, and that's also a big change for the landscape.
And that's actually a really good segue, because the next thing I wanted to talk about is something I love, is the different forms of content and video content, specifically long form versus short form. There's a lot of people, the conventional wisdom now is short form because people have short attention spans, right? But in reality, the way that I'm seeing it, and I'd love to get your opinions, and Justin too, is it's not necessarily, there are some platforms like Facebook that they say it right there. It says videos over 3 minutes and 30 seconds are going to get shared more on the watch feed. Okay, that's fine. But I think when you're talking about creating content and value add content specifically, you don't necessarily want to go into something and say, I'm going to do a minute video or I'm going to do a 30-second video. What you want to do is figure out what your message is, how you can provide that message and that full value And whatever time it takes to do that, that's how long the video should be. Now, if you're rambling for 15 minutes, cut it down, right? Again, it's how quickly can I get all of this value into this video and make it easy to digest?
Yeah.
I think that's how long a video should be. And by doing that, you're going to have more success.
Yeah, as concise as possible, but actually getting the message across.
Exactly. So what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think you could have said it better. I think you should focus on the question, the pain point you're trying to answer. And can you answer that question in a way that it's going to explain the solution to the viewer? It's going to be clear. It's going to be as concise as possible. And if you can do those three things, it doesn't matter the length. It matters on the question, right? If you're explaining the entire home buying process to someone that has never purchased a home before, that might be a little longer, and I think
it depends on the audience. It depends on, like, if you're saying what's the best strategy for one video project, it totally depends on all of those variables. Who's the audience? How much do they already know? What sort of information are they looking for? That gauges
exactly. And I mean, obviously there's so many ways to do it. You can build playlists, you can break it up. I'm not trying to get into those things, but I'm just referring to the question. Yeah. If it's one video, like, what are you trying to answer? Like, and because sometimes more is better.
Yep.
And sometimes less is better. If someone's trying to, one thing, that I found myself recently searching for was, I was trying to set up the new gimbal. And I couldn't find a video on YouTube for the new one, the new DJI one that was informative, went through every single step, and really just kind of showed you each step. And for a person like me, I need that with certain things, So it's like,
you would have watched a 15-minute video.
Yeah, I would have watched
it
like all the way through, because it's like explaining, hey, like, okay, you need to like do this, like this is how you do that, and so on. But if it's like another video where it's like, dude, like you could have told me this in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If you're not the right audience for it,
why you don't need a minute long intro on a video that should be 15 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's, definitely just goes back to the question, but I agree with you.
And the long-term strategy is, we can all agree, it's a mixture of both, right? It's a mixture of long and short, strategically rolled out over time. But
I think so. The kind of I'm kind of developing like a rule of thumb to give clients during like when they're asking questions and we're going through like a consulting phase. So something a client was asking me the other day, he was saying, well, I really don't want anything over a minute on the page. And I was like, okay, well, why is that? And he's like, well, because people have short attention spans, and I think they'll think it's boring. And so I was trying to kind of get him to think of it in a different way. So what I'm trying to think of is basically, when you're going to be super broad, when your audience is very broad and you're giving very general value, like, hey, happy birthday, or hey, like happy 4th of July, or thanks for, whatever, visiting the page. That is general value that applies to such a wide audience. That I think in general can be short, because there's not much depth of value there.
Yeah.
So it's like, get it all done quick. That can be a short video under 30 seconds. But as you go deeper and as you start applying to a more niche audience, like say a do-it-yourself, like how do I mount this specific TV to this specific type of wall, right? That's super specific. So that is going to be longer. That can be 15 minutes and going through the entire thing step by step. So the more niche your audience is, the longer the video can be. And it's okay that this happy birthday video or whatever that's less than 30 seconds, that could get 1,000 views. But this one is probably only going to get 10 views, but it's going to get watched all the way through by 10 people who actually need that specific thing. And I think that same rule can kind of be applied to your marketing. If you're a real estate agent and you're just talking about, hey, whatever, we have an open house, that can be broad, that can be short. But if it's going to be, here's how you get, pre-approved if you have a credit score under 650 and you're looking for a home in this area and you're a veteran, whatever. Okay, that can be a little bit longer because it's more specific, more niche audience.
Yeah,
so I think that's a good kind of rule of thumb to use.
And I love the fact how you mentioned don't focus necessarily on view count, because it does matter. If it's a niche video, then it's going to be, you are going to have a lower video count before obviously you build up a base over time, you're getting more views and all, but it's, if it's specific, you should expect a little bit less. Like, don't focus so much on the number. Don't focus so much on, how many subs, like how many, no, just focus on the content, answer it as best as you can, you know. And I was curious to hear Justin's thought on the video side too.
Yeah.
When I watched that gimbal video, I was like, I was 2 minutes in. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna,
Justin, as a videographer, do you see, like, and you're coming from like obviously a very creative space. What do you think that other videographers, like, do they have any opinion on that? If they don't have a marketing, like, what have you seen in the past? Like, what are your kind of thoughts on that whole idea?
Yeah, I think everybody's different. I think, to go off your first point, I think a lot of the time, short versus long form content really comes down to entertaining and informing, right? And so if you're going to have a longer video to inform, you probably also want to entertain, because like you said, if you're trying to reach a broader market, that entertainment is going to keep people more readily, attentive than say like, oh, if I'm just bored watching an informative video, right? So it depends on the person. And then, like you said, the subject for sure. But as far as videographers go, I think everybody's different. I don't think anybody has one way of doing it or another. There's no real industry standard way to break that down. But yeah, like I said, the two biggest things would be to inform or to entertain. So really trying to figure out which branch you are and how you want to work that towards your goal is like the biggest thing in my eyes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like if you have a longer form video and it's a super dry topic, you're going to entertain people with the education piece. But if you can mix in something, either visually appealing, just maybe cool angles, maybe a cool picture, or just something funny, mixing something kind of goofy, that would probably help video retention as well.
Yep.
So that's a good point.
Yep, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. For sure.
So as far as custom video production goes and things like that, Justin, this is another one for you. When you're working with a client, like what are some things that people should be talking about? Like, okay, if they're thinking about maybe I should do it myself on my phone, or maybe I should hire a videographer or whatever, what are some of like the key things that they should think about when, getting started with the video production side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I think my answer is always, no matter what kind of frame that's in, is what is your goal? And we start and we work back from that. So at the end of the day, if your goal is to save money, yeah, do an iPhone video, get the cheapest stuff you can to make it look as good as you can with a budget. But if you're really looking to control what your content looks like and really have like a standard of quality, there are some specific steps and places that you want to have your head at so that you can kind of guide yourself towards that goal. If you're somebody who's just looking to do an at-home setup, and I do this for real estate agents all the time, like they'll come to me and say, what kind of gear am I looking for? The first thing I'll say is, okay, well, what's your number one goal? Are you looking for a budget? Are you looking to step up your quality? Are you looking to just have it plug and play so you can just push a button and upload it? Like, what is your goal at the end of the day? And I will work back from that to let you know, okay, this is going to help you push a button, you can upload it through Bluetooth, or this is going to be easiest for you, or this will save you money. Or so, like I said, it's all about your goal.
And that's perfect, and that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because you see that question from a totally different lens than I do. Because the thing I was going to say is, what's your goal from like a marketing and message standpoint? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of clients are really surprised when, maybe they see some of the parody videos we've done or some of the cool promotional videos they've done, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. And it's like, okay. And basically they expect us to like, okay, we'll just show up and we'll do it. Right. It's like, wait a minute. Let's talk about what are your goals? Because every video shoot we have actually set up a time to have like a 30-minute pre-production call to go over all those different things. So that's kind of a cheat code for anyone out there listening. You can do it. If you're going to do it on your own, I encourage that. DIY stuff, it makes sense right now. But make sure you set up a pre-production call with yourself to go over what are the goals. What's the message? Yeah. What are we going to be talking about? Is there cross promotion? How are we going to be distributing this video? Where is it going to be posted? Have all those things done ahead of time so that when it's time to shoot, you're not sitting in front of the camera with a blank stare.
Yeah, trying to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah, on the fly. Yeah, right. Not fun. That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Absolutely.
No good video came without planning. Yeah. Like even the most, what you think is like a kid on TikTok making funny videos of like Lego, like whatever it is, like that kid wrote down, I'm going to do this, then this, then this, then this, and it's all shot. And yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about on the video side of things, because we are not working with paid actors, right? We're working with people in business who are making video to bring in more business, right? So one of the things, people are nervous. Getting in front of a camera, public speaking is one of the biggest fears people have. They get very disoriented or just nervous about the whole thing. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we do to make that a little bit easier, and maybe they can do that on their own and whatever that might be. So Justin, can you talk a little bit about some of the things you try to do to make it more comfortable for people, or what are some of the big issues that you typically see on set when people get in front of a camera? And I don't know, hopefully we can end this with, it's just not that scary, but
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the gist of it, right? Everybody has anxiety, and if it's something that you've never done before, of course, you're going to overthink it and question, like, what is it going to be like, so you can prepare yourself. But at the end of the day, what I would advise is come in, be yourself, and do a little preparation, but don't overdo it, right? Because, like, we see it all the time. People will come in with a script, and they'll try to memorize it, and they'll try to, like, redo it, and they'll be doing it and doing it. And then they just get in their own head, and it just never works out good. So a little bit of preparation is good, guide you along, but don't plan every word. And then that's where you come in with the authenticity, right? Because if you're just speaking from the heart at that point, you know, you're going to get a lot more authentic content, and people see authenticity. They can see right through it. So, I mean, you know, one of my strategies to, like, if we're talking about like sitting down and doing an interview, you know, I'll really just kind of like ask them some questions that I would be asking in the interview, but while I'm setting up or while I'm pretending to like adjust my camera setting or something, just to like get them talking and feel that comfortability to start. And then, you know, I just tell them like, look, I'm just trying to have a conversation, right? Like, you know, you can look into the camera, but really I'm just here. We're going to talk and have a conversation like we normally would. So I think that kind of helps nerves.
Yeah. People, I think a lot of times are like, okay, I'm going to be sitting there reading off a teleprompter. It doesn't have to be like that. Right. It could just be having a normal conversation.
Well, our experience matters a lot in that, because we work with, like the first thing you said, we don't work with Hollywood actors. Like, I want all of our potential clients to know that's all we do is work with not actors. Like, definitely really not actors. Business people, you know, across the board, but definitely not actors.
You don't
so
have to
we're
be.
the most patient. We're the most, like, our goal is just to make you feel super comfortable and have a good, relaxed day talking to us about your business. Yeah. And
hey, even actors go through 1,000 takes. You know? So it's like, let's not forget that perspective of, you know, the actors that you see, they themselves have made lots of mistakes, have went through. So yeah, you should never compare yourself to that. And it's, I do like the comfort piece a lot too, because it goes back to the different types of content too. If number one, you're never going to know what you're most comfortable with or what you're best at until you try it. Like, you do need to just start.
Go.
Right? Whether that is just an iPhone video on a tripod, or you are pursuing custom content creator, like just do something just to figure it out. And, you know, we have clients that prefer the side angles during interviews because they don't like the camera, or maybe they do like looking straight into it. Maybe some do want a script. Maybe some are good, but they're never going to know what they are best at and what they do best that's right for them until you go ahead and just try it. And I think, you know, us adding that extra level of conversation and comfort, you know, it just goes a long way, and really stirring the motivation to do content. You know, video can be a dreaded thing, but it's, you know, they have one content day with Justin, and they want to shoot again. So
and they always get better.
Yeah.
Always.
that's
6 months in, these all of them are smooth sailing, one take wonders. It just takes 2 or 3 shoots under their belt, and they feel so much better.
I always tell people the difference between your first time doing it, get a good night's sleep, and then your second is like
massive.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's
you
huge.
remember our first videos, you know?
God.
It's,
and we still are settling into being on our own cameras. Right. So we have full empathy for all of our clients.
Remind me, Justin, later to go and remove the old videos as quick as possible.
Wipe a hard drive.
Right. Yeah, and people should know, like, a lot of magic is done in the editing behind the scenes. So ums and ahs can get cut. You know, there's a ton of editing that gets done, and there's no limit on takes. You know, we're not shooting on film. It's digital. We can just do it again. No big deal. Yep. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that kind of wraps it up. Thank you guys for listening to the first episode of the Namra podcast, and we'll be back here soon.
Yeah, catch you next time.
Sweet.
That's it.
Thanks,
Till next
guys.
time.